All right, tip number one, you need to master the combinator, okay? What I mean by master the combinator is you need to make that combinator like your best friend, because you can use it to like create combinators that you can then save and recall later. You can create both instruments as well as effects. So the first thing I would say, moving forward into 2026, make sure that you master the combinator. So let's jump into Reason real quick. Let me show you what I mean by mastering that combinator. First, let's do instruments. There's a couple different ways you can create a combinator with instruments. You can literally just load in your instrument. Like say I'll just load in two of these instruments together. I don't have to flip the rack. I don't have to do anything. I just load them in together. And then I can highlight them by holding Shift and clicking on each instrument in the rack. Then I can right click and I'll be able to go to combine. Where am I combine at? Dang. Okay, sorry. The little mixer got dragged into it as well. So don't hit Shift, hold Control. Misspoke. You need to highlight each instrument. What happened was one of these mixer tracks also got highlighted. So make sure that that doesn't happen. So to unselect something, you just hold Control when you click. All right. So now that we don't have that problem happening, we can right click and hit Combine. And it will combine those instruments into a combinator. And that's it. Now you have those three instruments as a combinator, and you can literally just, save that as our instrument combinator. You know what I'm saying? But of course, there are definitely easier or better ways that you can get into creating a combinator than just combining things all at once. You could do the same thing with the effects as well. As you just load in effects, you can load in a combinator. It's pretty easy, pretty simple in that nature. But if you first were to go through, find it in your utility devices, or you also could find it in your browser in utilities, okay? Find the combinator, click it, drag it, or add it from device utilities, however you want to do it. You add your combinator in, and what I would say you should do first is you should create an actual mixer channel. You could either use the really big mixer channel or you could use the small line mixer channel. It's up to you which one you use. But the reason why you should do this is because it's going to give you more control over the volume and level of that device. And this is one of the things that if you were to go into a Reason sound pack and you look at those combinators, you will see that that is how those combinators are created in the order. Here's the combinator, but you also have right here this line mixer. So if I go, but I'll go to somebody else's and I'll load in a different one. And if we go in here and load it up, we will see it also uses that mix channel, that line in mixer. So it's important that you use something like that, okay? Use stuff like that so that way you have that control over your panning, over your volume, even over the effects that you can add to those devices. So if you go to any, Reason rack sound pack, you will see that is how the sound pack is created. It uses one of those mixing channels. So use your mixing channel first and then go to your instruments. You can either go to instruments or you can go to instrument patches. It's totally up to you. But in our devices, I can go to my instruments and I can say, yeah, I want this polytone, and I also want a Thor in there because Thor, got some nice, beautiful, lush sounds. And, up to you what patches you use. Maybe I'll create like some pads and I'll just create pads here and toss a pad. I changed it to Thor, but that's okay. Toss a pad in there. Maybe I'll add one more pad And the beauty of it now is, instead of them just being in the combinator, it's more specific because now it's tied in to this place. It's actually tied into the mixer. So as I play that sound, if I switch over to my sequencer, let me see some. I'm on the wrong combinator. So I got some freaky sounds happening. Well, I like that better. I now have more control of these instruments. I can flip the rack and I can see the routing that's happening to them when I'm using this mixer. It's just another step. And then again, you can go ahead and save that combinator. So that is just one, another way that you can create that combinator, right, to get more specific. And then after you're creating your combinator and you got some different devices and different things happening, you also want to get into editing the combinator. Maybe you also create some players, create some other effects. It's really great to kind of create different effects and things happening inside of the instrument. So maybe you add in a phaser, maybe you add in a delay, maybe you add in, a reverb, for example. And when you add those in, you want to have some control over those parameters. I did a vocoder instead of a reverb. You want to have some control over those parameters. So that's where the editor comes into play. So when we click on editor here, here's our editor, and we have access to this editor here. And from there, we can configure these different effects and instruments that we have created. So the first step is click editor, and then you come down into this window and you will see the name of each of these devices. Now, I believe if you name the devices, you can make it even easier for yourself. Now, I changed this to 1, so that says 1 Thor. It's still a Thor device, but I changed the name of it. So maybe I come over here and I just changed this to Echo. So now I can see, boom, here's Echo. That's where Ripley is Echo. That's an important step that you can do inside a combinator, is just take a moment to name your devices as well. So that way you can see, okay, what device is this? You can see it a little bit better than reading the patch names. Okay. Instead of reading the patch names, you can have it like that. I'll come down here and I'll just hit reverb, or maybe even something like space. Sometimes I just put stuff like space so I know, oh, that's my space. Cool. So, just random pads that we did there. Got some random Thor things happening. But the point is, we can edit this reverb 2 different ways. Here's the first way I'll show you. By going to our editor, clicking on space, which is our reverb. And then on the right side, we have this button here that says add. And what this is going to do is it's going to direct a path to a certain parameter. What I mean by that is I have these controls and I have switches, pitch bend, mod wheel, all of that good stuff, right? Well, I can also name these first. I can say space, and then I can say echo, and then I can say, I don't know, phaser. Okay. And I can change these names first, right? So now when I come over here to add, I can see it. Oh, space on and off. There it is. I choose the source, space on and off, which is this button right here. Space on and off is this button right here. I choose the button, and now I have to choose my target. So I'll choose my target. I want my target to be the master enable. Boom. So when I click this on and off, it will turn on and off my reverb. That's what we want. We can even change the order. So that way, I think we want it to be more like this. When I click it on, it should turn on. Let's see, click it on and off. Okay, let's go the other way. Put you that way. When I click it, I want it to be set to on. And when I click it the other way, I want it to be set to bypass and not off. All right, so boom, now it's on. I click it, and now it's set to bypass. I hope you guys can see that. So in your parameters, there's a certain way you need to set it up. You just drag these arrows in this fashion, and it will set it up. Usually the number is between 0 and 127 if it is a rotary dial, and it's usually between 3 if it's a knob like the enable. It's 3 parameters: off, on, and bypass. So it's going to go 0, 1, 2. So I have it set to 2 and 1. I don't want it to be set to 0 because then it'll turn it off. And if it's off, it will just stop the sound altogether. So we don't want to set the effects to off. So that's why we set the effects to bypass. So that's important. You can go through and you can set that up for all of these controls. And what's cool about it is you can hit this configure button. You can add in more controls. So now we can say, boom, I want another control because I want to change something else, and another control and another switch. And how about another switch? And you can really get very creative with it. I'll show you one of my sound packs so that you can just kind of see from a personal example of something that is in the Reason library. You can see, something that they accepted for others to use. So my sound pack was called Classic R&B Vibrations. I have a bass in here. But I have some editing that I did in here, right? We changed up the compressor. We also changed the scream distortion. So we added some knobs here. I also have a reverb. Have a room here to just add a little reverb to your bass line. Because one thing that I do is I'll use a bass line like that. Just use the high pitch, and that was one thing I used to do a long time ago when I first got Reason. I would use a sub bass as like a mono synthesizer lead, change a few parameters. It doesn't matter. It just depends on what part of the sound, what part of the octave you're using, right? So if you're using the lower octave, it turns into a bass. If you're using the higher ones, then now it turns into a lead, right? So sometimes I do that. So if I do that, I want a little reverb. So I might do something like that, or even just a little reverb for your bass. Adding in compression so that it's got a little more control. Distortion, which just, beefs it up a little bit more. So that's some different things that you can do for Combinator. Okay. So we spent some time speaking about the Combinator. Of course, you have questions about the Combinator. Feel free, ask your questions, and we can move forward with that. Cool. All right. So we started off talking about Combinator. Combinator is a very powerful device. The more you learn using the Combinator, the better you'll get. You can create Combinator instruments, Combinator effects. You can even just create a Combinator with like a player, for example, and then you can mesh those two together, the instrument and the player, and then create a Combinator. And now you got this device that you can just load in whenever, right? So like we can have something for chords. Maybe I'll load in a polytone, and then I'll also load in a chord sequencer, or even better, like scales and chords is one that you can do. You load in the scales and chords, maybe change it to a different octave, a different sound. Maybe you want chords, seventh chords or ninth chords. You can just load in that scale, and you can load in those chords. And now when we go to play when we go to play, you can do something like that. And we can just take this and we can say, boom, this is our polychords, right? This is our polychords that we created. Boom. Here's polychords 1. And then I can change this instrument here to something else, maybe change the scale to something different. And now I have polychords 2. Cool. And I actually really like the way that sounds. But maybe I'm not done, right? Maybe I'll come in here, change it one more time, change the scale again. I'll come in here and change the key in the scale. And look, now we have polychords 3. All right, now we got 3 polychords that we can do. You know what I'm saying? Oh, let's actually change the notes this time, so we're not using the same notes. We did 7th chords. Let's change this up a little bit. And now you have, polychords 3. Let me go ahead and make sure I save it as polychords 3. So we hit save. It already exists. Cool. I can change the patch again. Let's go pull up patch. Let's pull up plucks this time. And I'm just pull up a pluck, and that's interesting. Okay, we'll change our scale and we'll change our chord again, just so we have something different to play around with. Okay, and give me some major chords this time. So that pluck is very interesting. Let's see. And what we could do, and to be more specific, But when we go to save this one, this is polychords 4. When you go to save it, maybe you will add in that this is a B flat. You know what I'm saying? This is a B flat Lydian. I think it was the Lydian scale. Polychords 4, B flat Lydian, you know. So just right there, multiple different ways that you can use the combinator, that you can create combinators, that you can really get into the groove of having different combinators as well, to really get back into the groove of like not being stuck, having that beat block, you know, not having sounds that you need. You can just quickly get into this rhythm of creating things and just have some stuff for you to just pull up on the next time when you go to make beats. So that's one thing that I used to do that I have to get back into, which is just preparing stuff. Not needing to make the beat all together at one time, but instead, all right, cool, I'm gonna just work on drums. Oh, we didn't talk about that, but Combinator's another great place you could do drums too. I'm gonna just work on drums today. I'm gonna just create some drum patches that I can use in order for me to be ready for the next time I go in to make a beat. So I'm gonna just set up a couple different drum patterns, or maybe just set up a drum patch. I'm gonna grab some of my favorite one shots and I'm just gonna plug those in, and I'm gonna save the patch, and then I'll have drums ready for me the next time I get ready to make beats. I don't have to make a beat with it right then. I can just go in, make some stuff, you know, get it ready, I should say. And then now that it's ready to go, I'll have something ready for when I come back and I'm ready to make music. And then, you know, after I do that so many times, it's like, all right, well, now I don't have anything. All right, cool. So I done used up all of my presets. I done used up all of my patches. I've used up all of my, you know, pre-made things. Now let's restart it again. We made some cool beats. All right, cool. Now let's go back in and let's reset. Let's do this over again. You know what I'm saying? We'll reset and we'll do it over again. Now, how do we make this sound like it got some flavor when you're using maybe turn the probability down. Okay, now I'll show y'all what I was doing. So we're just creating a drum pattern here. And I think if I turn my tempo down, you can kind of hear, you know what I'm saying, a better groove with it. And like I say, just add in some stuff. Turn the probability down so it don't hit every time. Sometimes you, like I said, but you don't have to get right into producing, because you got this drum pattern. Maybe you make a different drum pattern instead and then keep going. You know what I'm saying? So if I keep going like that, if I keep doing that, you know what I'm saying? If I just keep making more and more, if I just keep making more, if I just go in and I just keep making more and more of these, let's go to this one. And then here's something you can do. You can go back to pattern 1 and then we can copy it, and we can go to pattern 4 and then we can paste it. Let me see. Oh, I didn't copy it. So we'll come over here, we'll copy it, hit the little C button, hit paste, and then let's alter it. We'll just alter the whole thing a couple times. Tight. Let's go to pattern number 2. We'll copy it, we'll paste it in, and then we'll alter it. Cool. You got to get the picture. You can use what you already created to give you something new. So we'll copy this pattern, paste this pattern in, and alter. Oh, you know what? I'm altering the whole pattern, but I also can just alter certain parts of it, right? I can just alter this instead, just to kick, alter the kick. Let's do it one more time. We'll hit paste. We'll paste up in here, and then we'll just alter the whole thing. And now I just got some drum patterns. So now I can name this combinator. You know what I'm saying? We can name this redrum patterns 1. You know what I'm saying? Redrum patterns 1, or maybe put a date to it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I made this on Monday. You know what I'm saying? 2025. What was this? Monday, December 2025. All right, cool. And then I know, okay, It's Tuesday now. Oh, let me pull up them drum patterns I was working on, and I'm gonna also pull up them patches I was working on, and let's get to work. Let's get busy. You see what I'm saying? So those are some different things that you can do as well in terms of tips. Master that combinator, using the combinator, creating patches. Use that to propel you, moving forward into 2026, y'all. We almost there with it. We almost at 2026. So use that to propel you into 2026, using combinators for all kinds of instruments, for all kinds of effects, for all kinds of reasons. You can, reasons, no pun intended, but you can absolutely get into creating some instruments, creating some combinators. Splits is another thing that I like to create when I get into combinators as well. So I'll set up a piano bass line split, something like that, so I can kind of get into my little creative bag where I'm playing, this side of the piano is going to be this instrument, that side is going to be a bass, and you get to playing left and right and up and down and doing your thing. And so you can create splits pretty easily as well. Let me see, is this my bass? Oh, yeah, let me use my own tip. Make sure I name this. This is our bass. So we'll split the bass down there. Bring the piano up here. Okay. Create splits as well using that combinator, and then I might even just add one more sound in to glue them together, so it's a little bit of glue in there. I might add an electric piano, which has a good range of both. But yeah, you get the idea. You can kind of create some cool sounds as you just get to mixing some stuff up. So here's how I fix this bass, because I don't want the bass to play too high. So we just drag this note right here. We just drag it down. We don't want it to play too high. And then where's our electric piano? So go crazy with it. You know what I'm saying? Throw an entire throw some coarse over that bass and make it a little less sticky, make it more glued together. And that's some ways you can get creative. Throw a little. All right, y'all. Pardon me. I'm just looking at chords now. Yeah, setting up to record external devices. All right, so so that's our tip number one. Tip number one was using combinators. Tip number one is all about using combinators. And we showed you a bunch of different ways that you could use combinators in this upcoming year to kind of progress your sounds. I used all stock sounds, but of course, if you have VSTs, they work with VSTs as well. Absolutely work with VSTs as well. So, or other plugins or even rack extensions. So, you know, for all of my Serum users, for all of my Omnisphere users, or, you know, for all of my, you know, Trillion, or, you know, the bass I was using, the bass we was using, Mono Bass, or even, you know, all of IK Multimedia sounds and stuff like that. If you use VSTs, swap out Reason sounds for those VSTs. You can absolutely do that as well. Yeah. So I had a question come through right now, so I'm going to answer that question. Okay. Let me see. What's the best way for me to show that question? I think I got to pull out my let me pull out my chat real quick. Give me one sec. Pull up chat. Chat. And we're going to get into the next way as well. What is this? Why would that change? This is supposed to be oh, it's not. That's why. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. All right, let me show y'all a chat, and we'll get into our other ways that we could do it as well, which is our other tip we put up: learn flipping the rack, learn using the back of the rack. Now, there's some general things we could talk about that doesn't really directly affect Reason users, but these are things that are directly affecting Reason users because they're not in other DAWs. Combinator's not necessarily in other DAWs, and neither is flipping the rack. That's a Reason specific thing. So that's why we're going to get into that. Okay. But first, I want to also show you guys this. Stole your sauce. What's up, Chris? How would you set up to record an external synth in Reason 13? It's a good question. First, I'm going to say this. I do not use external synths. When I use external devices, I use amps, guitars, and I plug into my Focusrite as a inline, as a recording source, as a audio signal. So I'm going into my interface and I'm recording that. That's really the most external use I'm getting. So I know in external synths, they also will allow you to just send the out or even a headphone into Reason, right? So that's the first way that I would set up for that. And I'll show you how I would do that. I would go to add track and I would add an audio track. And I would add that audio track in. Okay. When I add that audio track in, my interface, which is the Focusrite, I'm using one of these two inputs, or maybe both. If you got a synthesizer and you want the stereo input, I might set up with both. So I might add one there, duplicate, add the other one. Now I have the left and the right, and I'm probably gonna do my left synthesizer. So like I might, let's say we're using something specific. So we're gonna say left Moog and right Moog. Let's say we're using the mini Moog. So I'll do left Moog and right Moog. And we're set up to record it. I just need to hold control as I press these buttons. Okay. Hold control to enable the recording. All right. Well, I'll just get to step one first. Just so I'll show you how I would do it, because this is how I would do an external synthesizer. So I know the audio will come out, right? So the audio is coming out already as soon as I do these two. So boom, I got these two in. And then I hit record. Yeah. And as I'm playing my mini Moog, I'm recording everything. Feels good, feels right. You know, that's how we would do that. So I'm playing along. The tip that I would give for that is record longer than you need. If you're only going to record for the hook part, that's okay. Start at the verse, play into the hook, practice it, right? That's the tip part about it that I would say. Oh, okay. I only want to record for this brown part, but I'm going to start at the verse part and I'm going to play into it. Or maybe I'm going to extend my hook a little further. Play all the way through. This is, how much time is this right here? If we get to this much time, we at almost a minute, but record the whole minute, record the whole minute. Don't sell yourself short. Just record the whole thing. And that way you have, more for you to choose from in that recording. Okay. You have more to choose from in that recording. Now I know that in the past I had, my voice sounds different. Hey, your name is different. What's up, bro? Yeah, it's actually something I've been struggling with. It's actually something I've been struggling with for a while, and not really figured out exactly what's going on with my voice. But and do the best that I can. I was kind of blaming it on my job. Because I do a lot of talking and yelling, with the kids after school and stuff like that. Okay, so that is one way. Let me get back to the question I was asked. If you guys got more questions, please feel free to ask more questions. So that is one way that we will do the external synthesizer into Reason. Okay. Now, some synthesizers will have a USB. They will have a USB. Well, definitely, because all right, let me not get too distracted. Some synthesizers will have a USB and you can plug into your computer. If you plug into your computer with the USB, then Reason will find it as a MIDI device and you'll be able to select it. If it has MIDI inputs, If it has MIDI inputs, then that's going to be another thing. That means you need to have another device for your computer that interprets those MIDI inputs. So some audio interfaces will have MIDI inputs. So I'll show you. Because this one that I have now does not. This one does not have MIDI inputs, but some of them do have a MIDI input, and I'll show you what I mean. So MIDI input looks like this. Here's a device with a MIDI input. It's also a Focusrite. So if you look right there, that's funny. I'm zooming in and it's getting smaller. So here is our MIDI in. Here's our MIDI in and our MIDI out. You need to plug both of those MIDI in, right? When you plug it into your interface, that means your synthesizer can receive notes from Reason. And that means your synthesizer can send notes into Reason. But that is something that you need to have to set up via your interface. So like I said, you can use the USB if it has the USB, and Reason will be able to interpret those chords, or it will be able to interpret those MIDI inputs. Otherwise, as you're playing, it's only going to receive the audio, right? It's only going to receive the audio as you record the audio. Now, the other part about that is, the part that makes it good is you can set up a MIDI, right? You can set up an instrument, and your computer can then just play that perfectly. I mean, your synthesizer could play it perfectly, and then you can record that audio into Reason. Because the thing about it is, every time you change your device, you're going to have to change it. You're going to have to keep it. You have to keep it on that particular one. I hope this is making sense. You're going to have to keep it on that particular patch, right? So say you got a Mini Moog, you got your Mini Moog set up for synthesizer 1, you set up your MIDI notes in Reason, synthesizer 1 is ready to go, Moog is ready, but if you change the patch, it's going to change the sound in your song. So eventually you're going to have to commit that MIDI to audio. You're going to have to eventually say, okay, bounce this, right? You're going to have to eventually bounce those MIDI notes either inside of Reason, as an audio file, or set up your input monitoring into Reason as an audio file. Eventually, you're going to have to do that if you want to be able to keep that sound. Okay, you're going to have to commit to it either way. All right. I saw some other stuff that came in. I really just need some I need some tea and stuff like that. Thing about it is, I use my voice a lot. I was preaching on Sunday, so I did get a little excited and rambunctious. But even before I started preaching, I felt my voice straining and stuff. And I don't know, it might be something I need to go look into. I keep saying I'll get rest, and I'll get rest, and I'll be okay. And then I don't necessarily turn out to be all that okay. So one last thing, you can get a shot of whiskey. You can get this device. It's called a MIDI out device. Okay, that will help you to send MIDI from Reason into your synthesizer. Okay, but you're gonna need to set this up. So it will show here. Once you have something that has MIDI that you could use, it'll show here. Okay, so that's something that you can do as well. All right. But currently I don't have devices that have Let me see. Does this have a MIDI? Yeah, this one has MIDI out, but you know, I would need to be connected to something else to have the MIDI out. You know, yeah. All right, I did see UK Garage was asking a question about something. Let me see what UK Garage was saying. Let's turn it down some slower. Hey. Boom, boom. Oh, because I need to pre-record it, that's why. I was waiting for somebody. I thought I saw somebody had a question. I can't find it. Do y'all see it? Do y'all see the question that came up? Okay, so he says it's about recording back into an audio track. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to get ready to get into our next question, okay? Y'all ready to get into this next question? Yeah! All right, here we go. Next question says, it's about recording back into a audio track, but I get a loop back. Now would be a great find for using multi-lane editing, wouldn't it? No mute for monitoring. Okay, DJ Vaughn, we're gonna get to your question next. Let me see. I think earlier, that was that question. When I use audio, here's the original question. When I use audio and set input back from the desk, I get a loop back. There's no mute or master. So what are you trying to record? Let me set something up and see if I get what you're trying to record. For example, if I set up an audio input, here's my audio input. I'm going to turn this mic off. And now I'll turn this mic on. All right, we got a crazy little buzz. Oh, wow. Is that buzzing? Was that buzzing the whole time? Boo. Yeah, that's from the what's the name? Because I can't hear it, but I can hear it now. All right, say redrum. Okay, let's go to reason. So let's say you open up a redrum, and we're hearing redrum, and this is one of my favorite ways of testing out sounds and effects is to use a microphone. It's a microphone situation here. So now we can turn on this dynamics and really see how that dynamics work. See how I turned up that dynamics and it just started working? I can really see how it works. Turn the fast on, make sure it captures it quickly. When that fast wasn't on, the compressor wasn't coming in as soon, but I can hear it now a little bit better. All right, so here is a very compressed sound on my channel dynamics. Maybe set it to about 75%. Okay, and I wonder if we got something better, because now I can hear my voice. Now I'm like, okay, let's make this sound sexy, just a clean. I just want to clean what was very loud. Whoa. Okay, That's a little bit better. Not me, because my voice is hoarse. But I'm just setting up. I'm gonna turn up this DS so it's not too much S. But there we go. Here's our microphone. Check it. I got my redrum. We can set this up to record as a recording source. I think he might be talking about this. I think he might be talking about this. Are you talking about when we're recording like this? UK Garage? Are you talking about like this? When we're sampling in redrum? Are you referring to that and being able to monitor that? Is that what you're referring to? Or are you trying to record audio from because you use the word desktop. So I'm trying to see, record it back into an audio track. So are we in the sequencer? Are we creating an audio track like this? And then, you know what I'm saying? Yo, new time is here. Yeah, you know what we came to do. No, time is here. Yeah, came to do. So I just recorded that audio. I'm gonna just duplicate like this. The audio's there now, right? Yo, new time is here. Yeah, you know what we came to do. Yo, new time is here. Yeah, you know what we came to do. Yo, new time is here. Yeah, you know what we came to do. Yo, new time is here. Yeah, you know what we came to do. So let's say we have that recorded. So that came right from our interface. This microphone is just plugged into the interface. This microphone is plugged into the interface. And then from there, I just recorded into Reason. If you're trying to record, Mixing Decks is my audio external device. Okay, Mixing Desk, audio interface. Is that like a virtual? Is that a virtual? Mixing Desk. I've never heard of that. Behringer. Got you. Behringer. Behringer has a mixing desk. So so we have an X32 at my church, for example. We have an X32, and there are settings inside of the digital mixing console that will allow us to send audio from the console into the DAW. You can also use the audio outs, the external audio outputs from the mixer going back into the DAW. That's also something you could do. If it's plugged into Reason and it comes up, if it comes up as an audio source, in the settings, you will have these options. I'll show you these options here. Let me get out the way so it's a little clearer. You will have these options. It will say your audio device, and then it will say control panel. You can click that control panel, and there will be a way for you to set up your inputs and outputs. You could also use a different audio device, such as Audio for All. Yeah, it sounds like it's a big monitoring situation that you have. So you're monitoring comes from up here at the top. I'll zoom in so you can see. So if we look at the monitoring, the audio input monitoring, here's your monitoring area. You just need to come up here. And for example, this is the sampling input. You need to come up here, check this. This might be on. And if it's on, it's always going to be on. If this little sampling monitor is on, then it's always on. You got to turn that off. That's one. That's just for monitoring. That could be something for your sampling input. That could be something causing the feedback loop. That could be. If you're here in your sequencer and you're trying to, listen to it, do the active monitoring like this, you should be able to active monitor without getting a feedback loop. Most interfaces will have what is known as it cancels out the input mix minus. It will have a mix minus setup. And for your specific device, you might be able to set up a mix minus so that way you can get rid of your feedback. So just as a check, for sure, check this sampling input up at the top. And then also check your monitoring. You might need to check all of your sources. Maybe start with a clean rack and only the thing that you're trying to plug into Reason. Maybe you start from there. All right, hopefully that helps. I'm going to figure out a way to put this mic down without it doing that buzz, because I got that nasty ring. That's one of those things you don't even know is happening until you put on headphones. Yeah, for sure, brother. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully it helps. We're just here to help. Now I got a bunch of handling noise because I'm holding the mic. Okay, I'm going to work my way from the bottom and go up. How can I copy multiple patterns to separate note lanes within the redrum track? Within the redrum track, here's redrum. Do I have anything on this redrum? I don't have nothing on this redrum. Here's redrum. Let's put some samples. Let's put some samples. Let's put some drums. I don't want to add an effect. I want to add a drum. Let me see if I get an understanding of what you're trying to say. First and foremost, God, what you doing? What you doing? Let me just add some drums here. Hey, ho, oh, All right, so let's say I got there's my drum pattern. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just getting crazy with it. Unorthodox with it. We need a nice little, what's the word I'm looking for? Some chords. A nice little chord go along with this, you know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. So I'm here in Redrum, and I want each of these drum patterns from their respective lanes to go into a sequencer lane, right? I want them to go into a sequencer lane without using the explode tool. That's what we want to do. Here's what you can do. Let's see if solo works. Solo indeed does not work. So Redrum has a feature where, let's say I'm here in the sequencer and I hit record and then I just click this, it will record it in, right? So it will record it in one at a time. But the only way to get this pattern that already has all the patterns, the only way to get this pattern in, where did it go? It disappeared. There it is. The only way to get this pattern into the sequencer is to right click and hit copy pattern to track. That pattern will then show up in your sequencer, and then you will indeed need to hit the explode when you go to extract notes. Then you will need to use that to explode to get them to different tracks. Now, you're saying how to do it without doing that, but that honestly is going to be the fastest way. That's the fastest way. That's the way. This is the way. You know, Mandalorian style. This is the way. Because I don't think there's another way for you to record. I don't think there's another way for you to record these into Reason. Something you could do, for example, players, because players have that ability, for example. You know, the Redrum sequencer is special in that regard. It will not send out signals. It will not send out signals to the sequencer otherwise. Now, you know you can use these CV outs. These CV outs can go to other devices. So if you created this CV out and you sent it to matrix pattern. Like there's a way you could send this out. Let me see. Well, not to this thing. Because then I know you can connect them like this. There's a way you can send this out. The easiest way to do what you asked is how you do it. I've done first was routed redrum channels to separate mix channels, then created some patterns in the redrum and used the explode feature. Yeah, audio and MIDI, two different things. You know, to separate the audio, very easy. Just come back here, boom, there's your audio. But the audio is not connected to the MIDI. So just because you separate them by mixer channel, that's mixer channel. But when it gets to that sequencer, Reason is looking like, okay, how is this sound being played? Oh, the sound is being played through this sequencer. Okay, the only way to move the notes from the sequencer is to copy the pattern. Now, one thing you could do is, okay, you could do that. I want to take this hi-hat pattern. I'm going to right click and just hit, nope, that's going to copy the entire pattern. If I copy pattern and I go to the next pattern, go to 5, and I hit paste pattern, it's also going to paste in the rest of those notes. So I just need to remove the notes that I don't want in the pattern. So now I should just have my hi-hats only. I'll get rid of this too. So now I have just hi-hats, copy pattern the track, boom, okay. The only thing there will be the hi-hats. Yeah. Really trying to see if there's another way to do what you're asking or what you're thinking about, but I think that's it. Yeah. I can't no get down. Back down, soon, but boom, to build down. Down, 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 but boom, to build down. Back down, down, to build 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 to build down. Told them come through, came and get down. Just rap a doom down. I got time for all to do now. Got no time for y'all can do now. No time for y'all to do now. Other question is, does anyone in this chat use a DAW controller controlling Reason and its plugins or VSTs? I think we can get cooler than that. was our second tip. Chris, add an 808 using multi-lane editing and the lowest note from your chord. Beef that thing up, huh? Give it a little bit of boomy boomy. Give it a little boomy boomy, boomy boomy. Give it a little boomy boomy. See, this is why I don't have microphones where I can hear myself, because then I'll do stuff like that. Add a little boomy boomy, boomy boomy. Add a little boomy boomy, boomy boomy. Add a little boomy boomy, boomy boomy. Add a little boomy boomy boomy. Add a little boomy boomy. Little boomy boomy. Little boomy boomy. Yeah, add a little boomy boomy. Little boomy boomy, yeah. Hey, little boomy boomy, yeah. Little boomy boomy, yeah. Add a little boomy boomy, yeah. Add a little boomy boomy, yeah. Add a little boomy boomy. P1 by Nectar. P1 from Nectar. Clean it up, get it up. Didn't save the beat. Oh Lord, that chair. Ba-da-da-ba-da-da-bong-bum-bum. Let's let Quantize come save the day. Quantize say the day. Quantize say the day. Ho. Quantize say the day. Quantize say the day. Say that day. Quantize say that. Hey yo. Quantize say that day. There's a note in there that I don't want. There's a note in there that I don't want. There's a note in there that I don't want. There's a note in there that I don't want. No. don't want. There's a there's a note in there that I don't want. Oh my goodness. That's no good. That's no good. No good. That's no good. That's not good. Oh no. That's not good. That's not good. Not good. Oh no. Oh no. That's not good. That's not good. Not good. Not good. Oh no. Oh no. That's not good. Oh no. That's not good. Not good. Not. And then pull that in. Nice little switch up. Hey man, it's been so long since I got to like make beats. Come on then, let's do that then. I think that there's a lot more other updates that were more appreciated. Polytone as an instrument, I really like. You know? I like polytone sounds. The browser was like some cool stuff about it. But it was kind of like stuff that you didn't know you wanted and then found out you didn't need and then wished it went back and then got used to. So the different changes. This little Ableton change, that they did, I'll call it the Ableton change. This little halfway, you know, you click into something and it pulls it up like this. I said that from day one. I didn't even use the product yet, and I knew I wasn't gonna like that little halfway split. I hate that. I liked going full screen, popping in the stuff, but you know, just pop in and out of the window. But other DAWs do that, you know. Other DAWs do that, so hey, there it is. I mean, speaking of which, I know, because we were. Let's be more. I got into the beat, but bully the browser. Here's how we bully the browser. Turn this down. I want to hear it a little bit. Oh wait, I forgot. Turn it down just a little bit. Turn it down just a little bit. Turn it down just a little bit. Hey, turn it down just a little bit. Turn it down just a little bit. Okay, now we can turn down the music and leave my vocals. Do I want to do that though? Let's not do that. I'm gonna turn this off real quick. Hold on. Turn this off. Then we're gonna bully the browser. Bang, bang, bang. We just kind of got into like different people's questions a little bit, you know. Just letting people get into their questions. And if you do have particular questions, feel free to get into them. How long we've been live streaming? We almost had 2 hours. Wow, it's like the good old days. Y'all remember that? Used to just be able to live stream. You know? Let me see. Definitely need them change ups in the beats, you know. Okay, I'm gonna turn off this mic. I'm gonna turn this mic back on. What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Okay. Let me switch back over so we can set up. Switch back over so we can set up our next tip, our next point. So we talked about Combinator. I showed you guys a few things about flipping the rack. But there's, of course, still more things to go over with flipping the rack. But bully the browser. Make the browser work for you, okay? Bully the browser. Here's your browser. Let's go our options first. And we're going to go into our preferences. I'm sorry. Not options, preferences. And they have a browsing area here. And there's some things that you need to change to make it your own. Okay? When you're loading up a new sound, do you want to have a sound in there, or do you want it to be an empty track? Do you want it to just be like no patch at all? That's important. You can change that right here. Load default sound in new devices. So the default sound for a Subtractor is bass guitar. If I uncheck that and I load in a Subtractor, now I just get nothing. I just get Subtractor 1. I don't get bass guitar anymore. But if I go back to my preferences and I check that button in and I hit Subtractor, I will see my bass guitar. That is the difference between that setting. And it seems like that setting might be, you know, nothing right now, but I'm telling you in the long run, it's going to make the difference, because that also sets up where you're going to be browsing from when you hit this browsing folder. So that's important, because, you know, if you don't have a patch loaded in, it can make it harder for you to get into, you know, creating your sound. I think this will most help people who either get into sound design or just get into making music first. It depends on where you fall. If you're more about sound design, then you'll get that. If you're more about sound design, you don't want it to start with a patch. If you're more about making the music, you probably want it to start with a default patch. Okay, self-contained samples, that has not really much to do with your browsing experience so much as it does how things load up. If you are the type of person that you want to keep everything in your Reason file, it's going to make your Reason file larger. It will embed it into the song file, but then that way you can open that file later and you don't have to worry about stuff being lost. Like, you don't have to worry about that whole find samples, lost samples thing. That's something that you could work with as well. If you have a cloud folder, cloud folders are folders that can be updated over the cloud. You can add those folders in here, and when you add those in, they will show up in your Reason browser. That could be very helpful for you. And when they update, Reason will update. So say you have like a folder from Dropbox or WeTransfer or something where, every month, somebody sends you samples. So, it's an automatic cloud drive. Samples come in there and you want them to pop up in Reason without having to click and drag and do all of that. You can use this to set that up. Okay? You can use that to set that up. Now, this is the probably the biggest part about the new browser in Reason 13. Use side panel browser in new songs. Do you want the side panel or do you not want the side panel? How do you want the browser to pop up? Okay? You have this option now. If you want this to pop up when you create a new song or not. That's up to you. If you want it to just appear there or if you don't. Okay. The thing about the browser now is the browser can either be a floating window or it can just be as a side browser like that. So it's up to you if you want this to automatically start just like that. That's something that you can check and have it pop up and load in just like that. But that's up to you if you want that. Okay. All right. And now let's get into that actual browser. So those are some settings. I want to see if there's any more settings for the browser. Companion, no. Browsing, no. User interface, is there something in here? Very precise, no. Folders, no. Nope. 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 That's just some of those things. All right. It's totally up to you how you use the browser, whether you have it in the side panel or not. It's still going to have this devices pane over here to the left. Okay. So it's totally up to you. The first thing you have to do is get in your mind, what does Reason mean by browser or no browser or devices and not browser? Okay. The devices are just devices. They don't have patches. That's it. A device could be any plugin or VST, rack extension, or Reason instrument. It is categorized first by the company. So as you can see here, it's categorized by the company. You also could create your own categories. Still is going to come up by the company, but you can use these category here as filters. So when I get ready to do bass, if I'm using the devices using the devices panel, I can click my bass and I can know, boom, it's going to give me that Reason bass guitar, moto bass, or monotone. That's totally up to me. It just helps me to filter it. Same thing with effects. If I want a bass effect, but you have to set that up for that category. How do you do that? Find something that you would normally use for bass. Like I often would use just for bass. Well, the only thing that would just be for bass would be sub 2 bass amp. Just for bass, because I'm usually not using that for nothing else. But this Bass One, which is a plug-in, I would absolutely put that into bass. So right click, categories, bass. There's a check mark there now. But absolutely put that into bass. All of these EQs, I might use those EQs for other things. So I don't necessarily have to put those into bass, because it's not like I'm directly going to go to one of those for my bass. I might choose something else. But that specific patch that I did choose, that's specifically for bass. Same thing with Audiomatic Retro Transformer. I use that bass patch a lot. So I might actually go ahead and choose bass for that. So if I'm using the categories, boom, because this is like a 1-2 punch for me. Boom. Electric bass, Audiomatic retro transformer. That's a 1-2 punch for me. That's a go-to. That's a go-to. That's just a go-to for me. That's something that we doing a lot. And so that could work. But bass 1, you know, there's a different reason why I would use bass 1 with this electric bass guitar. But, you know, see what I'm saying? It just kind of adds in another element. Matter of fact, what I would most likely do is create a parallel channel, and then in the parallel channel I would use bass 1. And the reason why I would do that is because now I can do some more fine tuning to the parallel channel that I might not necessarily do to the main channel, you know, in terms of like filtering out some of those highs, making this not so muddy when I come in and I add this sub. Oh, they have a sub. I might come in and cut out those high frequencies and get busy like that, you know. So the tip is set up. Ooh, I like that. See? Boom. I don't think I know it. I don't know it to do it. Set up these categories. Reason will detect names, and it will already have some things set up in categories for you. So that's why when I hit delay, these delays automatically pop up, because it's setting it up by the name. But see, guitar doesn't have anything. So I might need to, well, not might, I have to come in here, set this guitar up. Boom, where's guitar? Guitar, boom. Set that up as a guitar effect. You know, I go through my different patches. Only things that I really use a lot, only things that matter a lot to me would I really, you know, take the time to do that with. Not every single device that I own, because it's a ton of stuff, right? As much plugins that I have, y'all probably have 3 times as many plugins. So it's just not viable to just go through and do every single thing. Another thing is use these shortcuts. Absolutely have folders. Like I use this computer folder down here because that helps me to be able to, you know, find my refill folder. I use my desktop folder in the browser, because just straight from here.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
But I wasn't asking you to help me with that. Okay. Just start talking to people. Don't start talking. I'm gonna pull this up, Mimic, and then hit reset device. So I have on my desktop, I have a folder. It says Chris Reed's Secret Sauce One Shots. If you were on the live stream, you were able to download that. So boom, I can drag and drop because it's on my desktop. If you can drag and drop, it's on my desktop. I was able to do that. You know, that's how you gotta make it sexy and do some reverses and yeah, you just absolutely gotta do something like that. See what I'm saying? All you got to do from there is add you some drums and you're good to go. So using our browser, same thing. I use this drums folder a ton. This drums folder is from Native Instruments, but I had to go through and find where that folder was. So I went into my PC, went into where it held it, right? Battery Now library, found the library, found the samples, found the drums. And then I put that shortcut into the browser. So now I know it's always there. It's always there ready for me. That's an important folder. But that's the same thing with my drum kits folder. I believe if I trace this back up, it's just in another external hard drive somewhere. So I want to make sure I have that ready to go. You put your things in your browser where you want them to be, you know. You can move around these shortcuts. These shortcuts will move. So as you can see now, I've moved these refills libraries together. Sometimes I have some things that I just have hanging out, like our Easy EQ guy. Hey, remember we made that thing? What's up, B-Hoss? So I have some things hanging around, but of course you can create folders, you can place things in folders. That's important. Favorites list, shortcuts, all of these things are important for you to get used to using. Whether you use this as a side panel or as a floating browser, those are things to kind of get used to. I think as a floating browser, you give yourself a lot more room to work with. But a lot of people are much more used to it just appearing here on the left side, not getting in the way of our rack and our sequencer. That is the part that made the difference, having it here as a side panel as opposed to popping out like this. I think the only thing that's left for them to do about this browser is make it fully detachable. So I should be able to get away from this window. Let me pull my browser to my second display, put it over there to the side. Those are things that can happen. So bully your browser, understand your browser. The devices panel is for devices. The actual browser is for one-shots and patches. Now, at the very top is going to be this master filter. That's how I call it. So many times I may have had something like instrument patches highlighted, but I'm looking for a one-shot. And it's just not finding the one-shot. Even when I hit this clear, it's not finding the one-shot. I need to check that very top one. If you just leave it on all types, then you can find whatever you're looking for. It just makes it a little longer when you're searching through things. But you can absolutely do it. It just takes a little longer. But that is a really big thing that I've run into. A problem that I've had is using this very top filter. I think it's just better to just leave it on all types. You leave it on all types, and whatever you're searching for, you can find it. You know what I'm saying? Boom, kick. I'm searching for a kick. It's like a 1, 2, 3 situation. It's just one of those things that used to be a lot simpler. I have my top filter, I have my search bar, I have my tags, and I have my locations. So there's 3 things that I have to look for when I'm using this browser. What is my top filter set to? Is there anything in my search bar? What location am I looking in? Because the location is going to determine where Reason starts looking. I don't want to suggest to you to just use all locations, because you might have a ton of stuff. You might have a ton. Look at this. It's still looking through stuff. See how many kicks this is? It's a lot of kicks, or things that can be qualified as a kick. And then you have like 100 different velocities of a certain kick. This is a lot to search through. So if you've taken time to categorize things, that's when you can do that, right? Let me zoom out. That's when you can use these tags. Reason already has things, categorized for you. So most times, if you click one of their tags, you're going to be pulling up a Reason sound, something that they think is a punchy sound, or something they think is a soft sound in their library, not across your entire library. It's what they deem as a soft kick in their library. So instead of searching in all locations, now's a time where you probably need to go to your shortcuts. I want to search for it in drums. I want to search. Oh, look, it found my kick folder. Great. It found some stuff with the word kick in it. So that's what I mean by understanding that browser. What's the best way to find what I'm looking for? It might not be to just do a global search. Okay. 3 different levels to search for. Your top filter, your locations, and your search bar. You don't have to use a search bar, but sometimes search bar helps, especially if you know something specifically. I'm hearing like a flute. Not this one though. What's that other flute? Okay, cool. So browser. It's funny, I got like 2 different beats in here. Let me see. So there's a question about sending CV. Sending CV through from Reason through your audio interface and then to external gear. Control voltage. There's a MIDI out. Nah, I got no tips for that because I don't really use external instruments. Got no tips for that. But just we talked about it a little bit earlier. We tried MIDI. We talked about it a little bit earlier. And the main thing that we came up with that is have a interface that has the MIDI ports. And if you have an interface that has the MIDI ports, then that's your first step. That's your best bet, and that's your first step. So then you gotta set up your MIDI cabling. Okay. And then it really depends mostly on what it is that you're trying to do. Because when you say CV, I'm thinking like, Reason uses CV for things like envelopes, volume, filters. So if you're trying to send CV out, what you're saying is you're trying to send a certain parameter from Reason. Like, for example, you want Reason to use a device to affect something in your external device. Like Pulsar, for example. Pulsar is designed to generate, a change in voltage by a certain rate. And so you can use these CVs to send that into something. You send that into something and then boom. So then, yeah, what you're talking about is different then. So I was finna get all into a whole nerdy diatribe. Don't let me get nerdy on you real quick. CV is used to alter something. So say, for example, like this. Here's my pulsar and here's my subtractor. That's what subtractor sounds like, right? With no changes. Once I send the LFO to the filter, all of a sudden things are changing. See what I'm saying? I can change the rate. I can change, that's the filter, but I also could change like the FM. But that's a whole different change that's occurring, right? I can use 2 LFOs. I can use one to change one thing and one to change the other thing. Let me see, turn the level up on this. Turn it on. But that's an example of using Pulsar to affect, change the pattern on this thing. But without Pulsar connected, you gotta remember, without Pulsar, the bass just sounds like this. See what I'm saying? So that's using CV, and you can use CV for a number of things, right? So that's not what you're talking about. Yeah. You want to sync the gear to reason because, like, you want to use the gear to play. You want to play something from your gear and sync it with reason. Right. Bad Plex hit the hammer on the nail. But most times, once you have reason, you just set it up as the master, and the thing that you have will be set up as the slave, and all those things will work together. I think it's just about your connection. I think your connection is the problem, because once you have your MIDI, it should sync up. It should already sync. Should already sync once you have it, connected. I don't know. I could be wrong though. Yeah, I would have to get an external device and get into that. Well, that's definitely something we'll have to get into. Let me see. We'll save this as Reason Tips 2026.